Imagine being in the presence of a dinosaur. Paleontologists tell us of carnivores as tall as a two-storied house, of herbivores that weigh the equivalent of 20 elephants. But even the best imagination is hard-pressed to grasp such incredible proportions. But what would it be like to actually stand next to a dinosaur? Not some cumbersome, repetitive display, but a creature that looks, moves, and acts just like the real thing.
About 10 years ago now that we started making a series called Walking with Dinosaurs. The idea was to take Jurassic Park style graphics and put them into a television show, but not just a kind of extraordinary drama like Jurassic Park, but a natural history program. But the proposal here in this arena spectacle was that the animals would get up and walk. There would be robots, for want of a better word. There would be physical models, and yet they would move around and the audience would believe that they're fighting and doing all the other stuff in front of them. Because at its core, the arena spectacle has to do what the series did, and that is to make people imagine they're looking at real animals. I didn't hear about it probably for a few months when they approached us and said, this is what some people down under want to do. And I thought they were mad, because it's very, very difficult.
The Walking with Dinosaurs television series was a world first at the time, largely made possible by computer graphics. However, some animatronics were used in the close-ups. Because of the challenges involved in creating a full animal, these remote-controlled puppets usually only depict part of the creature, with a performer or mechanism hidden off-screen. Our team would attempt to develop full-size dinosaurs. Constructing even one such creature would be another world first. Our team would attempt to build 15. And while Mother Nature had 150 million years to perfect the dinosaurs, our team would just have 12 months. A workshop the size of an aircraft hangar was found at Melbourne Central City Studios. This would be the location where 65 million years after their extinction, the dinosaurs would once again walk the Earth.
The casting of the dinosaurs. Each one of them took a lot of thinking of, do I have a fair, balanced representative of the 250 million years?
Bill picked them because he wanted things that reflected the enormous diversity of dinosaurs. So he picked extremes like the brachiosaur, which is one of the tallest dinosaurs ever to exist. We've got the torosaur, which has the largest head of any known creature. Bill asked us to make them as big as they were ever found. In other words, when it says T-Rexes were 10 to 14 metres, we're making them 14 metres long.
In spite of the fact that they died out, dinosaurs were one of the most successful creatures on this planet. But unlike their predecessors, the survival of our dinosaurs would depend on an audience.
We had to market and sell a show about dinosaurs, and we didn't have one.
The decision was made to stage a media launch 5 months before opening night that would showcase the first dinosaurs off the production line. The team still has 12 months to finish all 15 dinosaurs, but the deadline to have a working prototype just got a lot closer.
We have to have 2 dinosaurs finished, one large one, which will be a torosaur, and one smaller one, which is a Utahraptor. We really have so little time to develop so many new combinations of technologies, and they're all combining to make this deadline quite a nervous one for us all.
It's an enormous undertaking that will require more than 50 of Australia's finest special effects artists. Divided into 4 broad departments, each will face their own challenges in bringing the dinosaurs back to life. There are 3 major obstacles to building dinosaurs on this scale, any one of which could jeopardize the build. Finding a walk system and creating smooth movement are fundamental, but each of these depends upon the third issue, the weight of the creature.
So making something so large generally means it ends up being quite heavy.
The heavier they are means the stronger the structure has to be, the more energy we're going to consume to drive it around.
We don't want them all to be sluggish. We'd like them to have fairly snappy reactions. It doesn't take long for these things to get incredibly heavy. If you add a couple of 100 kilos of steel and foam and skin over the top, you then got to have a very powerful device to drive it, and there's only a limited amount of battery space on them.
The weight of the skin compounds down through the mechanism to determine the final weight of the creature. If the skin is too heavy, the dinosaur won't move.
And that was one of the first challenges that we had to throw to the skin department.
So we looked at materials like textured fabrics like laces and different sorts of mediums like puff paint.
But the easiest way to get the most texture was to add the most amount of paint. And we weighed a few skins and Trev went, oh! So we went back to the drawing board.
Without a light skin system, the viability of the project hangs in the balance. But the other departments forge ahead on faith that a system will be found.
I have an idea on how to make a character move smoother than you normally see at amusement parks and so on. That involved coming up with another way of driving hydraulics, so that part is a challenging bit for me to come up with a new control system.
While Trev experiments with hydraulics, Sonny is tackling the third major obstacle.
Developing a convincing walk system was obviously fairly important when your show is called Walking with Dinosaurs. So we spent a lot of time coming up with some systems that might give us the type of walk we wanted. It borrows heavily from traditional puppetry in that rather than trying to manipulate all the muscles that would drive a leg, for instance, we just grabbed the foot.
The concept was to have a low-profile chassis that sits underneath the dinosaur. As well as providing locomotion and housing the driver, it would allow the dinosaur's feet to be operated by means of carriages on the side of the chassis. In theory it works, but it will take 6 months before a prototype is ready for testing. The question is how to test a prototype without building one first.
When I met with Sonny, he built up this with the rough bone structure of the dinosaur, just so that we could work out where the pivots were, where the bones were, and how the dinosaur would move. And then I was able to essentially build up exactly the same thing in the 3D world and then just skinned it up so that we could at least get an idea that we're heading in the right direction.
The team commits to the walk system. It's an enormous decision because it will be 6 months before they know if it works, and it'll be too late to change if it doesn't. While work proceeds on the movement and skin systems, the team continues with the task of prototyping.
You need to get a sense of the physical behaviour of something, and so a lot of our early tries at things are very basic. For the Utahraptor, it started off as Jen walking around the workshop with poster tubes strapped to her legs. For the Ornithocheirus, we had a very traditional marionette puppet made.
As well as resolving how the dinosaurs will move, the team must visualise how they will look. This is achieved by sculpting small models or maquettes.
By working out all the details we need to on this, it just saves us time when we're doing the larger model. I make a fairly simple wire framework. It's just a matter of then laying up the plasticine piece by piece. I usually try to work the anatomy of the dinosaur first and find the bone structure and the muscles and build all that up so it has some sort of anatomical correctness about it. And yeah, finally just adding the skin, finding the wrinkles and the detail. That's pretty much the process.
2 months later, Trev has made a breakthrough in finding a solution to the quality of movement.
It's closer to the way in which any animal works who's got muscles, in that muscles are flexible. They deflect when you push on them.
It may not look like much, but this one-axis test rig is proof of Trev's idea. But will it work for a whole dinosaur? Meanwhile, Richard's T-Rex is about to go into the moulding process.
That just comes down.
Every sculpt is different in terms of how you have to mould it. These were a bit scary to make because they're particularly detailed and fine sculpts. I'm going to cut the jaw off. It's much easier to mould that separately and then join it on as a cast later. No fear.
Great.
Most of the casts are rigid, to be used in paint testing or pattern making.
We also cast the marquettes in a soft material as well. This enables me to play with the limbs and move them around and get some sense of how the creature would actually behave.
Let's play paleontologist. All right, so then you're saying he's going to be more of his legs moving rather than his hips swaying. Yeah. Because he's a narrower hip.
By manipulating the marquettes, Sonny and Trev are able to derive where the pivot points need to be and design the metal skeleton or frame that will support the creature. The first issue is to determine the range of movement these joints should have. And the second issue is as old as the dinosaurs themselves. Dr. John Long, Head of Sciences at Museum Victoria, explains.
When we look at these giant sauropod skeletons, people often wonder, how did they hold up their massive necks and their big tails? Careful study of their bones has revealed they had an intricate system that held up the neck and the tail by ligaments, so it didn't expend any energy on behalf of the animal.
The mechanical department face the same issues. If they use the hydraulics to maintain posture, there won't be enough power to make the creature move. They need the engineering equivalent of a dinosaur's ligaments, and soon. Two months on and the torosaur frame should be in fabrication.
We just really need to get it kicked along as far as we can. Yes. I mean, we need to get this stuff finished now. So.
It's nearly finished, but running behind schedule.
There's quite a few different movements you want in the body. So we've come up with a structure in the centre of each animal which has this vertical movement, and it can twist and tilt. And that's just the three central axes on the body. Then we move out into the neck and the tail and all the left and right actions there.
In the meantime, the mechanical department are trialling their version of dinosaur ligaments.
All the major axes on the dinosaurs have a bungee spring system to spring all our axes to neutral.
And this way the character, when we turn the hydraulics off, relaxes to a neutral position. And if we didn't use the shot cord to hold it all in central position, it would all just fall down and the head of the character would just fall on the ground.
On the other hand, the Utahraptors are a very different design, which presents very different challenges.
As with the larger ones, weight is a huge issue. Getting it balanced is a really important issue, and making it performable without destroying our poor performer underneath.
Okay, it's a prototype, that's why it's wrong.
It starts out in much the same way as the larger dinosaurs, with the construction of a frame. It's a simpler design, but the execution takes just as long as the larger dinosaurs, a fact that is fast becoming a major issue.
Be able to work back an hour tonight or something? Is that okay?
Time is becoming critical as the other departments desperately need access to the dinosaurs. To keep on schedule, Fabrication will have to construct the body forms in advance. The question is how to turn a 1/20th scale maquette into a full-size dinosaur. A week later and the fabrication department is littered with odd-shaped bits of brown paper. These full-scale patterns are derived from the maquettes in one of two ways. Either the maquette is scanned into the computer and virtually sliced up, or a physical maquette is sliced up in the workshop. In either case, the result is the same. Accurate 1/20th scale patterns.
And from that we can blow those cross-sections up and sculpt by numbers, basically. We can create a whole dinosaur just by laying up these sections in the correct order.
Finished.
But without a frame to put them on, the body forms lie idle on the floor. A week later, the frames are finished. Finally, the fabrication department have something they can sink their teeth into. The rigid foam structures are coming together, but real creatures have fat and muscle. How do you replicate that in a robot?
It's based on sort of fat suit technology that in a lot of film fat suits are made with either foam beads or plastic beads. They have a sort of series of overlapping sacs which will jiggle and move to look like real flesh.
Meanwhile, the Utahraptor is ready for its first walking test.
On the whole, it was a really successful test. Well, it still keeps me up at 3 in the morning.
Having delivered the 2 media launch frames doesn't get the mechanical department off the hook. As well as continuing to build the frames for the show, the mechanical department must also complete the chassis so the dinosaur can walk. It's not an easy task, as Trev is required to essentially invent and build a hydraulic car from scratch.
Getting out by the end of the week, what you mean?
Sonny is anxious to see the torosaur walk as soon as possible. And meanwhile, the skins department is several months into the task of creating hundreds of sheets of dinosaur skin.
There's 9 big dinosaurs at 100 skins each. All of those skins are backed by the same amount of fabric, so there's definitely 5 kilometres of fabric has been used in the production of all these skins.
We end up with giant pallets of sheets of skin ready to turn into a dinosaur suit.
Meanwhile, Sonny has some puppeteering concerns about the Utahraptor.
What he's missing is some forward vision. I mean, you can see down and you can't actually see where eventually you're going to.
The lack of vision is a problem with no easy solution, as the Utahraptor's head is in the way. But while it's important to make sure the performer can see, what about the dinosaur itself?
Eyes are one of the more engaging aspects of animatronics. Our process is to start off with the sphere of the right size. This is the eye mould pattern, which happens to be one of those silly $2 shop fortune-telling type devices. What's the question?
Shiny
Does
or leathery?
T-Rex want to be really shiny?
Or does he want to be leathery?
This is a yes or no.
Consult me later.
Oh no, now!
We start off with the external shape of the eye, which is a perfect sphere. And then we take that perfect sphere and machine off on the lathe a lens thickness. So we might be taking maybe a centimetre off the top of it. So onto the surface of the eye mould, we have to paint the iris and the cornea of the eye. So when we put the eyeball back into the mould, the gap is filled with a resin. It sets clear, so it becomes very similar to the clear lens material that's over a real eye.
This is just a pretty simple eye mechanism with a blink and with a left and right on the eyeball.
Because the eyes have mechanisms that need a flexible medium for the eyelids, so we're using latex rubber, which is a clay positive original of the eye sculpt. A plaster mould is taken from that. A latex skin is taken out of that plaster mould, and that latex skin is then applied to the mechanism. It'll work.
Yes, yeah, it'll look gorgeous.
A week later, the mechanical department is working busily on the chassis. The pressure is on because with only 6 weeks to go until the media launch, the team still don't have a working chassis, let alone a dinosaur to put on it. Both must be completed before the team can find out if the walk system works in the real world.
Just hooked up the brakes, just hooked up the steering cable, we've just hooked up all the wiring, or the guys are just doing it now. And there goes again. It's knock-off time and we haven't finished.
Trev and the team work late to stay on schedule. And the following morning, there's a new sound coming from the workshop. It's a resounding success and a big relief for the team who are banking on this test to work. Except for its eyes and horns, the torosaur is now finished in fabrication. But there's no time to relax as the team starts building the other 13 dinosaurs for the arena show. To keep on track with the tight schedule, the torosaur's head is removed for skinning, while the mechanical department works on getting the body to walk. With the torosaur still being wired up, the skins department forges ahead with the Utahraptor. The bright yellow skin acts as an undercoat for the painting process that will happen later. So where does that leave the torosaur?
Yeah, we're on major time pressure. We're behind schedule. The media release is in a few weeks and the skins are wanting it to paint it. We've had trouble with getting valves. They're not going to turn up till Tuesday, so all we can operate at the moment is the feet, so we're going to get that happening.
Without the valves, the body of the creature will not move, leaving the team with the torosaur that walks around but doesn't do anything. Jen makes up time by painting the torosaur head. With no eyes, horns or body, Jen's painting must allow for these elements to be blended in as they become available. A week later, the torosaur's walking action is ready to test.
Pretty good, Trev.
Six months of flat-out work. Look at that.
Up until now, we've just been saying, well, this should work, that should work. And now it's like, it does work.
To complete the illusion of walking, the feet will need to track with the ground as the chassis moves. But the mechanical department have run out of time, so the torosaur is pushed over to the skins department.
Really what we're doing is large-scale costume making. We originally made patterns from the marquettes and then made a toile, which is a rough pretend version.
We pin fabric around the whole thing, make it fit properly, and then we pull that off and turn it into the paper patterns, which we cut the real skin from.
So it's 8 at the widest.
These are notches, so they're replacing the numbers that are on here, and they're on the dinosaur up there, basically where two pieces will meet.
With the skin now finished, the team do a final walking test.
Today it's a chance to test the leg walking system with the skin on for the first time.
The walk looks good, but the situation with the valves is becoming critical.
Last email I got is that they've got 50 of them coming from the States. Should be on the aeroplane today. Well, I've heard this before.
Being custom made, the valves can't be bought off the shelf, and there's no time to manufacture them elsewhere, which is not easy when the event involves a 7,000-seat arena booked 6 months in advance and a theatrical crew to go with it. But the team forges ahead regardless and prepares the newly skinned Utahraptor for a walking test.
Once we've put all of the fabric on, it weighs down the mechanism a fair bit, and it's very hard to guess how much the mechanism will bulge under the pressure until you actually apply the pressure.
The team gathers to watch, but things don't quite go according to plan. Something snaps and the creature slumps forward.
There's a term we use called catastrophic failure.
It broke.
It was going to be so exciting, wasn't it? And then it was such a such a failure.
A week later, The repairs are finished and Aidan installs the eye mechanisms in the Utahraptor's head. After testing the eye surrounds, the raptor is ready for painting. With the torosaur now painted, the mechanical department once again have access. 6 months after putting their faith in the computer-generated model, the team will finally see if their solution works in the real world.
Fingers crossed. All right, let's see how we go this time.
Eventually, the torosaur will have 24 axes of movement. What you see here is just 8 of them. While the walk system is a success, the team's excitement is tempered by the fact that if the valves don't turn up, it could be all for nothing.
No, we don't have the valves yet. So, but we've got a few things to fill us in for another day or so. Well, a day, basically, before we'll be sitting around going, twiddling our thumbs.
And one of those things is the sound system.
We're up to one of the final things, and that is mounting the subwoofer speaker, and the sound comes from the dinosaur as well as from the theatre speakers. We're just trying to work out how to fit a speaker that's actually bigger than the hole it's got to go in.
But where do you find sounds for a creature that's been dead for 65 million years?
Yeah, and it's got that force there.
Push.
I used a lot of humans to morph them into the animal world, and then with, pitching it and running it through a few little boxes that I had, I was able to, just turn that into, say, the torosaur. Each of the animals have like the tranquil, soft sounds through to panic sounds, probably about 80 different sounds per creature.
Back at the workshop,
Hello, Trevor here.
Trev receives an important phone call.
So the shipment's here, including the valves. Right. This afternoon. You beauty. That was it. The valves turn up this afternoon, hand delivered. Beautiful.
But there's no time to celebrate as the mechanical department scrambles to put the valves in.
We've got the valves in, we've just put the solenoids on. It's very exciting stuff.
With the valves now installed, Trev and Dave prepare to fire up the body axes of the torosaur for the first time. The problem is how to control all 12 axes of the body when a puppeteer only has 2 hands. The answer lies in incorporating them into what's called a voodoo rig. It's essentially a sophisticated remote control which has the same axes of movement as the torosaur.
All right, we right now? I think Pete's right.
It's a big moment for Trev and the team. Everything seems to be going well until there's a sickening sound from the head of the torosaur.
Should be straight. So yeah, it's this structure up in here is the one that failed on Toro 1. And this whole thing is supporting load of the bungees, which counterbalance the whole weight of the neck and the head.
It's a setback that's easily repaired. In fact, it's a blessing in disguise, because each breakage tells the team something about the weak points in the design and helps them build creatures that can perform consistently show after show. However, any further testing will have to wait until the repairs are completed. A week later, the movements of the body are being incorporated into the walk cycle.
So as that comes forward on the rear left, the body needs to twist to the right.
The process is intricate, requiring the reduction of the way a real creature walks to a set of algorithms that can be programmed into a microchip which then controls the puppet. It takes a surprising amount of computer power to replicate the movements of a creature with a brain the size of a walnut. And not before time, as the puppeteers arrive to begin rehearsals.
Plan of attack is to start Richard off without the suit. We'll preset our critter back in the corner.
It takes 3 puppeteers to control a mechanical dinosaur, a driver who controls where the dinosaur goes, a voodoo operator who controls the body movements, and an auxiliary puppeteer.
Okay, basically with the left hand I operate the joystick, and that operates eyes left and right, so it operates the blink of the eyes, and also operates the jaw open and close. And then with my right hand I'm operating the keyboard, which is going to supply all the different sounds that this beautiful dinosaur is going to make.
Fresh off the plane, director Scott Farris arrives with artistic director William May to see the dinosaurs for the first time.
Oh my God.
Scott's task is to direct the theatrical aspects of the production for both the media launch and the arena show.
See how fast it goes! To walk in and see a dinosaur that looks like it's alive is mind-blowing.
After several days of rehearsal, the puppeteers are gaining confidence and it's time to pack the dinosaurs up for the trip to Sydney.
This is a case of how many people can fit around one dinosaur. We're doing last-minute checks. We've got 3 minutes where it absolutely has to be spot on, so it's exciting. But we're still nervous because, you know, it can't afford to go wrong.
I didn't get much sleep last night. I was worried about loose bolts. So...
After 8 months, the team are finally ready to show their babies to the world. Meanwhile, at the Yasa Arena, the tech crew are already setting the stage for the arrival of the dinosaurs. They have to work quickly, because in just 2 days the world's media will descend upon the arena to witness the unveiling of the world's first life-size walking dinosaurs.
Good show, Tara.
It went really, really well. Things went wrong, but we had time to fix them. We really learnt a lot today.
We did what we tried to do, I think.
It's a fantastic success for the team, but there's no time to celebrate. The arena show will require sets, puppeteers, actors, lighting and sound. It's taken 7 months to get this far, but with opening night only 5 months away, the team have to put on a show and build 13 more dinosaurs. Each new dinosaur presents different issues, and one of the biggest problems facing the team is how to make some of the larger dinosaurs. By Trev's calculations, the sheer size of these creatures will require so much foam that they will be too heavy for the mechanism. And that's not the only problem.
We've got to get all these characters into containers as they travel from one city to the next. So not only do we have to build big characters, we have to build big characters that collapse down.
It's a real problem when some of the characters are 5 times the height of the container. The team test a potential solution to the problem of the larger dinosaurs. To make them lighter than foam and extremely compactable, they're making them out of thin air.
We've employed inflatable technology, but we don't want them to look inflatable, so we still have to put a steel structure inside. So Felipe's developed a system of Velcro flaps.
This is the brachy back leg, and this is the air seal at the top, and we feed our frame through it and seal it off at the other end. Let's see how it goes.
It's a success. The seals retain the air around the frame while allowing it to move freely. For transport, the creature deflates and the frame folds down. It's the ideal solution to the issues of both weight and size. Several days later, the puppeteers arrive to begin rehearsals.
I've treated the rehearsal process, from my point of view, like I would any show. So I treated the dinosaurs as actors. Single actors, not teams of actors. That's when the dinosaurs come to life, and that's when you really believe that they're alive.
As rehearsals get underway, the Allosaurus stands in for the T-Rex. Blocking is challenging as the crew are still missing 2 dinosaurs. Meanwhile, actors Felix Nobis and myself have been cast in the part of Huxley, a paleontologist who brings the story of the dinosaurs to life.
Start moving when you say Pangea begins to break apart. Now there's going to be a passageway through here. Yeah.
Back in the workshop, the build team works frantically to complete the last 2 dinosaurs. The T-Rex and the big Brachiosaurus are the stars of the show. They were deliberately scheduled last so that they would benefit from the team's experience. But the last 2 dinosaurs are also the biggest and therefore the hardest to make. The team is starting to worry that building them last might not have been such a good idea. The rehearsals finish 5 days before Christmas and the crew pack the dinosaurs for Sydney. But there's still no sign of the big Brachiosaur or the T-Rex. In the workshop, the atmosphere is far from festive. The creatures are moving, but it only highlights structural issues that will take time and personnel to correct. But Trev has neither, as many of the crew are required in Sydney for the setup. The team continues preparing the dinosaurs as the focus of rehearsals shifts to the technical aspects of the show.
And then you're moving back. We finished up in Melbourne with what we thought was the shape of the show. We came here and then you add in all the technical elements. You start layering in lighting and music and scenic elements, and it becomes very complicated then. And the challenge has been continually pulling all these very different departments and elements together. And that's a challenge.
2 days before Christmas, some gifts arrive for the team, and this year the best presents come in big boxes. The T-Rex and the big Brachiosaur have arrived. Both dinosaurs carry enough power to run the average house for a week. But because of its size, it's the Brachiosaur that represents the pinnacle of engineering achievement. In life, it weighed as much as 20 elephants. It's a testament to the skill of the team that they can reduce the heaviest creature ever to walk the earth to the weight of a delivery van. The entire cast is finally assembled, and it's straight into rehearsals. "12 months after starting the build, opening night is finally here. In just hours, these halls will be crowded with more than 7,000 people, all anxious to get a look at the fruits of the team's labour.
No, I'm feeling really excited, actually. We've made it. I think we're ready. We're as ready as we're going to be.
But backstage, there are other dramas unfolding. With less than an hour before the show, Trev has the big Brachiosaur opened up right back to the frame.
We've been a little bit late doing a final check on this neck, and we've realised some of the turnbuckles haven't been upgraded to the proper spec. There's a chance that the neck would actually drop straight to the floor.
No pressure at all.
Trev has finished installing the safety cable, and now it should be just a simple matter of getting skins to close the Velcro and poppers.
No, it's a bit more than a popper job. It's undone right back to the inflatable, so there's quite a bit of Velcroing and bunging, I think, as well.
I'm not quite sure what I've got up here at the moment. Have you got a 7 down there? There's no way this is reaching down there.
No, 7 is...
Unfortunately, none of the Sydney crew worked on this particular dinosaur, and so the numbering system that should make sense has to be deciphered while people wait outside.
That's not a 7, is it? No, this is an 8.
Is that strap an 8?
The strap's an 8. Let me just check the number.
There's 7 coming out of here. See if we can get a look at that.
Good, so that's in the right spot.
Nearly there.
A little bit bulgy.
I think you should punch it.
And just in the nick of time.
All stage staff, please stand by. Staging staff, please stand by. Thank you.
We should hop in. 5-minute call.
Stand by for the pre-show announce. Stand by music Q1. Stand by house lights to half, and then house lights out. Stand by electrics Q2. And standing by.
Batteries.
Sugars, everyone, here we go. House lights out. Go. Music Q1. Go.
The evening flashes past as each member of the team dedicates themselves to the task at hand. The team, now consisting of more than 65 people, pull together a seamless show.
Now you're coming to Madison Square Garden in New York City, and you have this incredible event today. You let the dinosaurs enter onto 7th Avenue, sort of taking over New York City. What was that like?
Obviously, it's a unique experience for people to see a dinosaur walking around. That's what the show's success is, I suppose. No matter where we go, you'll always see an audience react the same way, whether it be Adelaide in Australia or whether it be Saskatoon in Canada or here at Madison Square Garden. The audiences respond unanimously, universally. They just believe that they're real and they love the show. So that's been one of the biggest boosts for all of us.
For any production, I think, to beat Madison Square Gardens is an absolute coup. And I never really thought we'd ever make it this far. I really did think that we'd make a set of dinosaurs for Australia, going to the US, maybe, you know. So to actually be here in the hub of world entertainment, I think is absolutely thrilling.
I'm Michael and I'm one of the dinosaur drivers, and this is Torosaurus. She's excited, as I am. She's a little bit nervous though. She's been playing up a bit today, so hopefully she gets out there and has a good show.
I think I'll wake up tomorrow and say, hey, did that really happen? But it has. And I'm not the only one that's enjoyed the journey here tonight. It's all the kids, the parents, and especially the team.
It's been like quite a long journey to get here, but we finally got to Madison Square Gardens. The last time I was at Madison Square Gardens was to watch Metallica, which is like the biggest rock band in the world, so we're hoping like, our show's going to get somewhere to reaching those same heights as those guys. So yeah, we're really excited about it. Yeah.
He sat there with his mouth open the whole time. He's a big dinosaur fan.
I like when the dinosaur eats its head off. The Stegosaurus fight the Allosaurus, it was cool.
Sound 18.5, LX 231.8.
To go down to Australia, as we did at the beginning, and actually see the dinosaurs in action. Because I wrote the script to videos and mobile phone things and DVDs and things. So actually to see them, it just blew me away. I mean, they're just so incredible.
I was terrified, actually, because I had a whole huge group of theater friends, and I didn't have any idea what they'd make of it. But everything went well, and they all seemed to have had a good time, so I'm happy.
Where do we go next? Well, hopefully Europe, Asia, and take on the world. I'm a very proud man.